I'm not getting my way. Call an ambulance. Apologies in advance for grammar, spelling, and formatting. I wrote this on mobile and I honestly am not great at Reddit formatting. Happy Thanksgiving everyone. Much like many other poor, unfortunate souls, I have the displeasure of working the week of Thanksgiving at our local regional grocery chain. It's been a rough week, but last night took the cake. It's 9:25 p.m. We are finally winding down from the horrific Thanksgiving Eve traffic, but still busy. A customer appears at the help desk, and I go to greet her. She tells me she called earlier, and she was there to pick up a money transfer. I remember her call, and I log in to help her. I take all her info, and enter it into the computer, before I get to the ID entry. Now, the money transfer service we use is very easy to use. To pick up money you just need the transfer code and a valid, in-date, form of ID. I start to enter her ID and suddenly spot the expiration date. I'm sorry ma'am, but your driver's license is expired. I should have seen this earlier. She is immediately distressed at this. It just expired last month. Can't you just use it? I try and explain to her that we have very strict guidelines and I cannot under any circumstances accept an expired form of ID. She then proceeds to tell me that she has absolutely no money and this is the only thing she has, and she doesn't have enough gas to get home, and I really need to just do it, because she needs it. I calmly tell her that she can call the person that sent it to her and ask them to go back to the location they sent the money from, and ask them to change it to not require an ID, which is easy, and will fix her issue. After some more repetitive frustration she finally calls, enter her niece. She explains the situation to her niece, and they go back and forth briefly, before I'm inevitably handed the phone. I politely explain exactly what her niece will need to do to fix this. I'm immediately met with condescending attitude from her niece. Hi there, the geeky musician? Yeah, you seem to be mistaken. I sent this money using my phone. I did not go to an agent. I suddenly realize I'm in for a rough ride. Is there an option to edit transactions on the mobile app? I'm not 100% familiar with the app. I don't know how to use the app, as we are only trained on the pose itself. As soon as I finish my sentences they answer, no, there is not an option. I then politely explain that they will have to go to a physical location to change the transaction. Karen mode, activate. I'm sorry, what was your name again? The geeky musician? Yeah, this isn't gonna work. My aunt is having a very hard time right now, and I'm going to need you to pay this money out. I then reiterate myself, explaining what they have to do. Alright, the geeky musician, what location are you at? Yeah, this has left a very bad taste in my mouth, and I'm extremely disappointed with this. I can assure you I'm going to get this dealt with, because I know how to get this done. Hand the phone back to my aunt. By now I'm 100% done with this situation. The woman talks to her niece on the phone briefly, then hangs up. I'll let her know that as soon as she gets an update to let me know, and I go to try and get the mountain of stuff I have left to do done before the store closes in 20 minutes. As I was getting some stuff done, I called my manager to the front, just to bring him up to speed with the current situation in the event it escalates, which I felt it would. Unfortunately, he takes it a step further and just goes straight to the woman and asks her about the situation. She explains it to him, and he repeats the same thing I told both her and her niece about a dozen times now. She tells us both that she is desperate for the money and that she'll just have to sleep in the parking lot then. My manager and I both apologize and go back to closing duties. Shortly after, I walk by her and realize she's on the phone again. I decide to sit by the help desk as I'm sure she'd want to speak to me soon. She goes back and forth with her niece again, before handing the phone back to me once again. Hi there. Yeah, all of the locations near me that service money transfers have closed at 9. I really need you to go ahead and pay this out for her. My grandmother recently died and it really has taken a toll on her, and she needs this money. I'd like to make it very clear to you who I am, and I can provide you all of my details. Sometimes I understand people just go a little too far. I really need you to use your best judgment on this one. At this point I was pretty done being vaguely threatened and bullied over the phone, but before I could politely tell the woman on the phone to deal with it, my manager walks up to assess the situation. I immediately asked her if she'd like to talk to my store manager. Oh, I'd love to. Author's note, my store manager is a 60-plus-year-old tall, thin Wisconsin man that has worked enough retail years to have absolutely no patience for BS like this. He's not rude, but he won't take crap from anyone. Ma'am, I'm sorry but we cannot help you. This is against policy, etc., etc. While he's talking to her, the woman who originally came in was standing to the side of the desk. Suddenly, she started to grasp her chest and moan. She didn't say anything to either of us or try and get our attention, but I noticed her out of the corner of my eye. The more my manager told her niece we could not do it, the louder she got. Oh my Pasimica, I don't even have my nitro pills. Oh lord, etc. Finally, she apparently had enough. I need someone to call me an ambulance. I tell my manager, who was still arguing on the phone. He immediately hands the phone to me and calls an EMS. I pick up the phone. Ma'am, we are calling your aunt an ambulance. I'm hanging up the phone. Before I could hang up, she responds. What? Let me speak to my aunt. I hand the phone to the woman. Oh lord, it's my Pasimica, and I don't even have my nitro pills. Oh no, etc. She hangs up the phone and just kind of stands there before eventually starting to lean to one side. I then walked over to stabilize her as my manager is on the phone with the EMS. The moment I get to her, she just starts to limp to one side or another. Alternatively, I gently held her by the shoulders to keep her upright and asked my manager to get her something to sit on. He brings something over and I set her on it. As we waited, she continued to slump in the chair, but I made sure she stayed alert and conscious. As soon as the ambulance pulled into the parking lot, she suddenly became more alert. Oh, there. I can feel my Pasimica. That's better. The EMTs brought in a stretcher, loaded her up, and took her out. They sat in the parking lot for about 20 minutes before driving off with no lights, so I can assume she was okay, but I really won't know until I inevitably see her again. All in all, this was one of the most frustrating and ridiculous thing I have ever had to do at my job. I was already thoroughly stressed from the holiday load, and this made the day even worse. All over about $50. I just hope she's okay from this event, and that I can get a physical copy of the customer complaint they send in, so I can frame it on my wall. Happy holiday season everybody. It can only get worse. Edit. Thanks for all the kind words. Hope everyone had a great holiday. She came in the next day and got her money after her niece corrected the problem. My coworker that helped her told me she cursed me under her breath when she saw me. I watched her drive away,